women cricketers will earn the same match fees as the men under a new 5-year deal struck between New Zealand Cricket, the 6 major associations and the New Zealand Cricket Players Association, meaning a substantial pay boost at both the international and the domestic levels. This is important for multiple reasons. First, of course, the entire issue of gender equality is something that cannot be achieved without pay parity in any country. So it's not about one sport or one country. This is for the first time that men and women professional cricketers are going to be paid the same amount. In fact, this has now come about. It will be implemented from the 1st of August. Let's in fact tell you the figures, the match fees across formats. I'll show it to you on your screens right now. What is the amount that they will be currently paid? In New Zealand dollars, 4,000 for one ODI match. That comes to around 1,95,000. For T20 internationals, it is New Zealand dollars 2,500, which comes to around 1,22,000. This is the annual pay. This is per match pay across formats. Now let's look at what were they paid earlier. Okay, that is the quote of Sophie Devine, who is a captain of the New Zealand team, saying this is a massive step and it is great for international and domestic players to be recognized in the same agreement alongside men. So that is how Sophie Devine has welcomed this move. Quite understandably, it's a big boost for cricketers and it will be a big draw for women's sport. And that is what Sophie Devine has also said. Huge draw card for young women and girls. And this is to encourage women to take up cricket. Now let me show you the figures that we were talking about earlier. This is about the match fees across formats. Can we have those figures on screen, please? When we talk about the one-day international, okay, this is the pay structure of the Indian team. I wanted the figures of the match fees across formats for the New Zealand team. Can we put that up, please? The match fees across formats for one-day international for New Zealand team. Like I said, in New Zealand dollars 4,000 for ODI match, and for T20 2,500 at par with men. This is what women were paid earlier, 40,68,000. Now it has gone up to 78,58,000 per annum fees for women cricketers. So I think we should say congratulations to the entire women's team of New Zealand, White Ferns, as they are popularly known. Let's now look at what is the disparity in pay in Indian cricket. Let's pull that up now, the ones that we were playing earlier. When we look at the figures given in terms of as per grade, the pay scale, 7 crore per annum fees for male cricketers for A plus grade, 5 crore for A, 3 crores for grade B, and for grade C, 1 crore. This is per annum fees for men cricketers. Let's look at the figures of the women cricketers. It's way below this level. For grade A in Indian rupees, if you look at those figures for women, it's 50 lakhs per annum, way below what you saw for their male counterparts. Grade B, 30 lakhs per annum. Grade C, 10 lakhs per annum. Look at the disparity there. And this is why we decided to take up this topic, to basically understand why something exists. Same play, same pay. That should be the norm. But far from it, many other countries do not follow the pay parity. And it is an important question that we want to address. Let me, in fact, go across to my colleague, Karishma, if she's there with us. Okay, let me go across to our panel who's joining us this evening here on the program. Dr. Sunita Godara, who's an Asian marathon champion. Also, Harini Rana, sports broadcaster. Pradya Gadre, who's a badminton player. All women panel. So good to see that. Thank you so much for joining me here on The Big Focus. Dr. Godara, when you hear of something of this nature, we are calling it a historic move, but I'm wondering, this is 2022 and now cricketers are getting equal pay for equal play? Shouldn't this have happened way back, and shouldn't this happen all across?
Yes, you are right. You know, anyway, kudos to New Zealand team and their body who has decided to give same. And, you know, like, I'm surprised that in cricket it is still happening, you know, this discrimination. In India, in 1985, when marathon has this discrimination in Allahabad Marathon, I stood up and I said, this is discrimination. That time, Prime Minister was Rajiv Gandhi. So then Prime Minister, he decided and he announced that the prize money should be same for marathon in women category and male category. Otherwise, it was 10 times less than the male category. So, India started this in 1985. Same in all sports. Only in cricket, this discrimination is carrying on, which is really bad for the female part, because they are also putting all efforts. They are also playing hard. They are also, sacrificing and working for, perform better and better. Then why this discrimination? So first of all, 3 cheers to New Zealand, who has decided to do this. I hope others will follow, but depends, what strategy they are taking, what marketing strategies they are taking. Those things may affect, but same price, same money is always welcome.
It is a welcome step, and therefore, we are playing it up. We are literally headlining this. The message should go out, Harini, Rana, isn't it? The idea is to put the message out loud and clear. Is BCCI listening? Can it happen here in India? Same pay for men and women cricketers?
Good topic that you picked up, and I think it's commendable what New Zealand cricket has done. But I just want to give a bit of context to this, right, while we are discussing this and the reason behind why this has happened. So there's been a build-up. If you look at New Zealand cricket, what we've seen with the Women's World Cup, which was hosted in New Zealand. Now, if you look at the numbers, Women's World Cup was the most watched cricket tournament or a sporting event across, if you look at all the numbers that we've seen so far. So it was the most engaged tournament. And also, just a month prior to this decision that's been taken, Sport New Zealand, which is obviously the governing authority of sporting culture in New Zealand, released a report based on their case study of the Women's World Cup, which actually they saw that there is about 50% more viewership and engagement when it comes to women's cricket. So it's a given that women's cricket, while the ICC decided to host the tournament as a single IP, so far historically we've seen a Women's Cricket World Cup would be piggybacked along with a men's tournament. But this time around, ICC realized the potential of it and hosted a solo tournament. And that's how the numbers that we're looking at. Like if you look at the overall numbers, most engaging World Cup tournament after men's World Cup, which was in 2020 and 2021. So those are the numbers, and that's the background essentially leading to this pay scale hike that has happened and equal pay that's happened. I think it's a commendable decision. When you ask about will this be replicated in Indian cricket, I see development and steps that are taken. It's going to be a long journey. I don't say that it's not going to be a long journey. It is going to be a challenge where you create a pathway. Now, talking about this, if you look at historically, if you look at Wimbledon, right? Wimbledon is one of the last major tournaments in tennis, which is currently ongoing. It's in 2007 that they decided to go for equal pay for men and women's championship. So it's been a long journey for them. The tournament started in 1969 and the disparity continued till 2007. Eventually, they've reached the stage. I think what's happening, if you look at the ground level when it comes to women's cricket, apart from the pay structure, the fact that they've come under the aegis of BCCI, when it comes to their travel, when it comes to their training, equal sort of opportunity or exposure. Currently, the Indian team is in Sri Lanka. So I think steps are being taken. One by one, we will reach there. Currently, we're discussing about creating a women's pathway leading to a women's IPL. So I think a lot of the steps will contribute towards reaching this stage where New Zealand cricket has reached today after drawing a long journey. And if you look at the whole ecosystem of Women's Cricket World Cup, New Zealand was the most engaged team when it came to the performance and when it came to the overall sort of familiarity of the players. While India ranks the top amongst the Asian teams, but they're still about 6% compared to New Zealand, which is about 33%. So I think that's where we're coming from, and that's why I wanted to put this context
That's very important, Harini, and thanks for giving us that context, because there are certain factors that come into play. Let's not forget that there is money involved, there is, acceptability, or in terms of cricket, of course, is also now a form of entertainment. Viewership factor is important. There are mercenary concerns. we might, of course, from a point of gender justice, think it takes equal effort. It's tougher for women, I would say, to get there. But even when you get there, top of the league, you do not get paid the same because all these factors, like Harini mentioned, come into play. Pragya Gadre, do you agree that there needs to be maybe certain, corrections in the system, that even if your returns are not as high or women's cricket is not as watched as the men's cricket, you should still be paid the same? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Being a player, I feel if we put in the same amount of effort, the same amount of training hours, we travel to all the tournaments just same as the men's team. And we are also staying away from our homes, training in some other centers maybe. And then why, when it comes to the pay, then why is the pay less? And that is what I understand as a player.
What Harini is saying, there are fewer takers. There needs to be an understanding that everything in this world is valued at a certain price. So it's like some sort of, a commodity, as it were. And and as per that value, the people who are involved will get paid, if I got Harini right. But of course, like you said, it's been a long journey. What will it take, you think, for the same to happen in India, Pragya Gadre?
Maybe the women's team needs to be promoted a little more. And that is how maybe they are going to be known to the public a little more. And I feel that is how it's definitely going to be a slow process. Mm-hmm. But yes, I think this is the way the association needs to go about it.
What was it with New Zealand team that had happened? Dr. Sunita Godara, you feel that, may not be the same for India. What is it that applies there and doesn't apply here?
In India, the marketing strategy, the women team is not the viewership, main thing is viewership, and marketing strategy is slightly, it's for male cricketers more than female. But nowadays, like Harini was saying, that things are changing, but it will take time. I'm so fortunate that I'm into the marathon athletics. There is no discrimination, no disparity. So cricket also should, start thinking about it. You were very right that no matter there is a little difference, in viewership or maybe marketing strategy, but just to promote women power, they can take a step like New Zealand.
Do you agree, Harini, Rana, that even if it means, increasing the pay at par, even if it means it may not bring you the same returns, this is important. This is about gender justice. This is about pay parity, irrespective of gender.
So adding to the point that Dr. Sunita Godara made, I think what we are seeing, when we talk about marketing, when was the last time that we saw, if you recently saw India was playing in England a few months ago, early this year, when was the last time did we see people on Twitter organically talking about Indian team's performance? Even though India might not have been on the winning side, but people are talking about it. If you look at Twitter, if you look at social media, there is a hero's coverage that's been given to all these individual athletes. Jemima Rodriguez, all the other cricketers, they are home names now. People know them as much as they know the men's cricketers. So I think there is a kind of change that we are seeing. I think pay structure will also fall in place, and especially with the whole ecosystem and the country sort of backing women power and empowerment right from the top leadership, I think it's going to trickle down onto Indian Cricket Board as well, where they will take notice. And honestly, I have seen interacting with these players and the conditions that they were training prior to coming under BCCI, and now there's a stark difference in terms of the facilities, in terms of, I was traveling with the Indian cricket team when they played their last T20 World Cup final against Australia in March 2020. Now, I have seen these girls before the finals having psychologists, access to the best coaches, best training facilities, and before the final, going into that final against Australia, which has been a champion for about 3 times in a row, to take on them, it takes a lot of mental strength. So they had access to all the facilities that are available, which was very heartening to see. And when we talk about marketing, trust me, I've covered 3 cricket World Cups of men, but while I was there at MCG watching that cricket match live, I've never seen seen an Indian cricket women's team get the reception that they got with 80,000 plus at MCG rooting for the women in blue. So I think for me, that's a huge victory. Like having seen the 2011 World Cup, 2007 World Cup, 2015 Cricket World Cup at the same ground, I think this is a huge victory for me. And I see that as a positive step where we are heading towards, where eventually it will lead to the same pay package as the men's cricket.
Okay, on that optimistic note, quick last word to Pragya Gadre. When it comes to badminton, do you have any concerns on the parity issue? And do you agree with Harini that it is happening? It may be slow, but we are looking at a day like that when we can say that there's equal pay for all cricketers irrespective of gender. Ms. Gadre? You are on mute. You have to unmute yourself. Yes.
Yeah. So I play badminton, and badminton being an individual sport, I don't see much of a discrimination in terms of pay. Earlier, yes, there used to be some differences between the prize money that we used to get, the men and the women. There used to be a little bit of difference, but nothing much about that. And since badminton is an individual sport, we are chosen on our individual performances, and we are paid or picked up probably by the companies, and it depends on their pay scales. And it's a different issue with the individual sports and the team sports. But yes, about the prize money, that was one concern that we had actually raised with the association. But then that is now, we get the same prize money that the men's do.
Okay, that's a positive note, in fact, to end the conversation. But I can't help mentioning here to our viewers that on a whole in India, take Bollywood for instance, women on the whole make 25% less than men. 68.5% of women in Indian workforce have wage inequality. 68% of us working women are paid less than the male counterparts.
Yes. Add to this conversation
quickly, Harini. Yes, go ahead.
Quickly. One point, when it comes to pension, right? Pension to all the cricketers, the female cricketers who represented India, their pensions have been doubled. This came about in June last month. So there is sort of this whole change that is undertaken.
There needs to be a mindset change at all levels. I do agree. The society has to encourage women players. As viewers, you have to be as open to watching women cricket and encourage them. And like you said, well, the day is not far, but this is important in all sectors. I asked for the figures. Unfortunately, I'm out of time. Whether it's corporate, whether it's Bollywood, you name it, everywhere. Highest pay gap is 38.2% in IT, in communication and technology services. Pay parity is a major issue. I'm glad that New Zealand has set the tone, at least in cricket. Let's hope it trickles down to every other sector. Thank you so much to all our panelists for joining us this evening.
Thank you.